you're injured on the job, who do you call? Today, Schaffer and Associates is here to tell us more, plus give us some legal advice. This segment is sponsored by Schaffer and Associates. And today, to tell us more, I have Thomas Schaffer. Tom,
morning.
How are you doing today?
Good, Toy. How you doing?
Excellent.
So this workers' comp thing, I've been doing this 32 years.
Wow.
And this is probably the most I have done in regards to workers' compensation is exclusively my practice. So anytime that I'm talking to people about their workers' comp claim or someone that may have to file someday, I always want to tell them the most important thing you can do is document. You know how in real estate, the three words are location, location, location. In workers' comp, it's document, document, document. Because ultimately, if anything has to be determined about your case through a hearing process, a hearing officer, a judge that's reviewing your determination is going to look at all the paperwork in front of them, as well as your testimony. If your testimony is backed up by all the documentation, you're going to win your case. If it's not, it's going to be really tough to win. So anytime that anyone has a claim, the first thing they need to do is complete an incident report. Now, some employers will say, well, we don't have incident reports. They have to have an incident report. In fact, the employers have to advise the state of Ohio anytime a claim occurs.
So I actually have a question about that. So, right, you get to a point where you say, hey, I'm injured. And then is this kind of during the actual hospital part? Is this actually at the actual maybe when you're injured? So do you say, is it right off if you get off the hospital bed? Is this in the hospital room? Sort of, how does that process work?
Actually, if you're working in a plant and you trip over something, you fall, there'll be people around to help you. But at that point in time, you want to get aware of anybody that witnessed your accident and kind of make a mental note of who they are so you can state those people later. With regard to the incident report, the quickest that you can file it is the best. So even if you are kind of having difficulties physically, try to get that incident report completed that day, that hour, because that is going to confirm that this incident occurred and this incident occurred at work. Next thing is seek immediate medical treatment. So like ER visit. If it's not so bad that you have to go in ER, you can go in urgent care. Some employers want their employees to go to certain locations, which they can do. And most of those locations are called occupational health facilities. There's one at Mercy, there's one at St. Luke's, there's one at ProMedica. You'll probably see a nurse practitioner initially, but of course when you see and seek treatment, you're going to tell whomever you are talking to, whether it be a nurse or doctor, exactly what happened at work, because that acts as a second incident report. So you have the incident report, hopefully you completed. You have another incident report in the ER records, and if everything comes together and looks appropriate, you're going to go a long way to winning your case.
So sometimes people have the kind of desire to say, oh, I'm fine, I'm not injured at all.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to do.
Right, that's a great point, Toy, because I tell people, when in doubt, file an incident report. Because so many times over the course of a day or a course of months, a course of years, you have kind of aches and pains. And these kind of things kind of go away. The next day, you're going to wake up, you're going to be fine. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Say you have a trip and fall and you feel somewhat okay, you don't even seek medical treatment. I can tell you probably hundreds of times I had people come in and tell me about their injury, and what they're saying is, I didn't feel anything at the time other than some pain. It was something I felt all my life. They always go away. Next day, I could not get out of bed. So it's like a process. Your body is shocked. There's adrenaline. It kind of masks all the pain. You sleep, you rest for a while, you wake up, oh my God, now you feel suddenly so much in pain and impairment that you have to go seek medical treatment. So that happens, but when in doubt, file an incident report, because even if nothing comes of it, no big deal. It's a piece of paper and a file. But if something does come of it, you have that piece of paper to win your case. I can't tell you how many times I've won cases because a piece of paper was written about an incident at work.
And a piece of paper makes
Piece of paper, yes, absolutely.
When people run into trouble as far as the delay with getting their benefits, what kind of circumstances does that normally involve, or what contributes to that?
What contributes to that is some type of litigation. So when you're dealing with workers' comp, you're dealing with your employer and the Bureau of Workers' Comp, because the Bureau of Workers' Comp is like the insurance agency for the state for workers' comp claims. So you can file an injury your employer may want to fight you on the case, and if they do, that can delay any benefits until you have a hearing in front of a hearing officer to award you benefits. If your employer certifies the case, if they agree with it, they'll go a long way to getting your claim allowed initially and not have to wait so time for benefits. So again, it all goes back to your documentation. Your employer is going to be willing to accept your case if you documented it well.
Now, in addition to workers' comp, you guys also do personal injury and Social Security. How does that work?
So there are times when someone's injured on the job and they're injured for a long period of time. Say they're off for a year or two from surgery, et cetera. They may be also entitled to Social Security disability, because the definition of Social Security disability is the inability to work for up to a year. And a lot of these injuries, you can tell early on, you're going to be off for a year. So if after 6 months it appears you're going to continue to be off, you want to file that Social Security disability application. Here's why. Some people think that you can't get both, but you absolutely can. So you can get benefits under workers' comp and Social Security. There's just like a ceiling you can't go over when getting awarded both benefits, and that's dependent upon your income. With regard to personal injury, a lot of personal injury cases also involve a workers' comp claim. You're driving for your job and another person rear ends you, so you have a whiplash. That's a workers' comp claim if you are driving as part and parcel of your job. It's also a personal injury case. And here's the difference, and here's what's so important about pursuing a personal injury case when it's coupled with a workers' comp. Workers' comp is a no-fault based system. That means they don't award pain and suffering. There's no pain and suffering. A lot of people have a misconception about that, but it just doesn't exist in workers' comp. They make it a no-fault just so everybody can get the benefits no matter how they occur.
So it's no fault.
Yeah, so personal injury is fault-based. So you're pointing the finger at another person or insurance agency, and you're saying that this guy or this woman or this other employer hurt me. When you pursue a case, you can pursue both. And in a personal injury case, you can get an award for pain and suffering. And the awards for pain and suffering are obviously much more generous than any award that you can get in workers' comp. So you can have a double recovery in the case. So it's very important if you do, drive as part of your job and you get injured in an accident, that you file both. And it's important, just one last thing. Workers' comp, you have 1 year to file. Oh. And they just changed that over the last few years. They changed a lot of things, kind of, having people less ability to pursue a case, so they reduced the statute of limitations from 2 to 1. But in a personal injury case, you have 2 years. You still have 2 years to pursue it.
Okay, 2 years versus 1 year.
Right.
Such good information, Thomas.
Sure.
And then where can people find out more information about Schaffer and Associates?
You can look at our website, schafferlawyers.com. You can call our office, 419-350-8277. If you go to our website, look at my background, you'll see a way that you can contact me directly, and I'd be happy to call or talk to anybody that has some questions.
Awesome. Well, sounds good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Coming up, more What's Going On, so stay right here.